How are we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome back to another video. And we're back once again with the Wowhead Economy Weekly Wrap-Up. This is going to be episode 187. Apologies to those who missed last week's episodes. It was covered on our live stream, but for various reasons I wasn't able to grab the footage to turn it into a YouTube video for you guys, so I apologise. But this is up and running as normal. So, first and foremost, we've got to give a big shout out to Samadan. He puts this little report together for us on a weekly basis. You can make sure to check out Samadan on either his YouTube channel or his live stream, or even go say hello to him over on Twitter. Let's take a little look at what we've got in this episode then. Let's take a look at the table of contents. We have proof that advice from the community works, the race to the world first costs, a comparison of farming versus crafting, no kills daily routine for alts, and then a little bit of further reading for those that want to dive a bit deeper. Samadan starts off by saying this has really been a week of highs and lows. The exciting race to world first with its dramatic end has been hit by the news of court cases and some shenanigans going on at Blizzard at a developer, and yeah, we don't want to talk about that too much for the purpose of the videos. We like to keep this a drama-free channel where possible. As Samadan also states, these topics have been covered much better elsewhere. The goal-making community continues to be one of the most supportive and welcoming communities that I've had the pleasure to be part of, and here is why. So Samadan starts off by highlighting a little article that was on the WoW Economy subreddit this week. A tale from the Goldmaker with the username RGCsArbelongTome. Very random username, sure. But they said that they came over to the WoW Economy subreddit looking for advice on how to improve their goal-making methods. A couple of months ago, they came asking for advice. They received a lot of information, and they have made a return trip to share some of their results. Hopefully, seeing from the original thread along with my results will entertain and perhaps even help others that ran into the same particular problem. There's a link here to the original thread where there was the original question that was asked. He's included a graph of his TSM results. This just goes to show that if you actively go out there and engage and try and ask your questions, there's plenty of people out there that are willing to help. The WoW Economy subreddit is I personally have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with Reddit. I do enjoy the subreddit itself, but I do find that Reddit generally can be a lot of people like to hide behind the anonymity of their keyboards, and you got to be careful over on the Reddits. But there is some good eggs over there. I do spend a little bit of time on the WoW Economy subreddit myself. You'll see me occasionally chip in with my 2 cents here and wherever it be relevant. But this player has posted what they were doing previously. You can see their graph was very, very spiky, very, very up, very, very down. This is a very common pattern to see by somebody that either farms materials or is doing a lot of, or trying at least to do a lot of flipping. They seem to be buying a bunch of items as soon as they get a lot of gold, which obviously spikes their gold graph down, for it then only to go up again massively the next couple of days when they presumably sell whatever it was that they bought a day or two before. And you can see somewhat of a steady trend, but these massive downward spikes may tell a little bit of a better story. But let's find out exactly what went on. Oh, and for reference, this is now the graph after they got a little bit of advice from the subreddit. You can see all of a sudden those spikes start to disappear. They get to sell off a few things and start to make some steady investments, and their goal total just, to the moon. This is really, really positive to see. So some additional info then. The first dramatic increase was a fire sale. They ditched a bunch. Yeah, there we go. They ditched a bunch of materials that they'd been flipping, mostly Phaedrum ore and Eternal crystals. So they were focusing on 2 current content crafting materials. Phaedrum ore is a popular flipping item because when prospected, it turns into the essence of rebirth, which jewel crafters are always after. and is very frequently the most expensive essence. And of course, Eternal Crystals being in patch 9.1, a relatively rare resource considering there's no real simple way to gather up loads of epics for disenchanting. So you've actually got to go out and find gear to be disenchanted to generate these Eternal Crystals. So it made for a good flipping market. Those funds were used from flipping to buy into crafting materials, then decided to make food, feasts, flasks and potions. Also had a bunch of cloth lying around for 32 slot bags, which I kept when buying low. Since then, primarily been buying herbs and meat when it's low, and then selling the alchemy cooking crafts. And always stocking away with the vast majority of my profits into a guild bank, the reason for the 2 players in the graph. Did a little bit of flipping with Korthite and select trade goods, but by and large stayed away from it, and there you have it. Initially, they claimed to have had a difficult time amassing more than a couple of 100,000 gold before sinking it into another flipping opportunity. But now they're well on their way to making their guild bank capped out with gold, and they've just came back to thank those that helped out on the original in the original post. So this is a really good example of showing that somebody that was kind of had a good idea of roughly what it was they were doing, were buying a few things, selling a few things, but weren't necessarily having huge successes. They were, you know, spending a bunch of gold, selling a bunch of things back out, but in the grand scheme of things, their gold wasn't really actually going anywhere. With a little bit of extra guidance, though, they seem to have been pushed in the right direction and seem to be doing some fantastic results from there. This just goes to prove, like I said, once again, the communities out there, the subreddits out there, the discords out there, for the most part, they're a very, very helpful bunch of people. And if you ask a couple of simple questions, you'll usually get a multitude of different viewpoints, which can often lead to good results. So give those resources a go. Test it for yourselves. Next, we'll move on to the race to world first. This is something that always fascinates me. The sheer amount of gold that these guilds are willing to spend on being the very first bunch of people to kill a boss is, in my opinion, outrageous. But of course, competitive people will do competitive things. So let's take a look at some of the big guilds out there and exactly what they were spending. And more importantly, where were they spending? Limit did pretty well for themselves. Starting off their tweet with how much did Limit spend to lose. Limit, as we know, got the world's second kill on Sylvanas. They spent, just a casual 6 million gold on repairs. This is an incentive out there for any guild master to disable guild repairs. It doesn't sound like a few hundred gold each is going to, really make much of a difference, but during progression, the amount that you can spend on repairs is actually disgusting. Make it so that each of your raiders are responsible for their own repairs on their gear. Maybe activate repairs for tanks, because of course tanks are naturally going to take more damage, but the average player in the guild shouldn't be taking that much damage anyway. Their repair costs, they should be able to cover it themselves, but I'm not a guild leader. Maybe have those conversations with your officers. Consumables, 25 million gold on consumables. All the more reason to be crafting potions, flasks, food, enchants, all of this sort of stuff is all going to go into this. And if a single guild like Limit are able to spend 25 million gold just on consumables, that goes to show, right, that these markets are very, very lucrative markets to be in, especially around raid time. 70 million gold in PvP carries. I was unsure to what the PvP carries actually consisted of, but I got some helpful advice to point out to me that it's basically just being a boost to the item level in certain slots. They'll get PvP boosts to get really high ratings, to be able to buy really high item level gear, which in turn means that when they go and do split raids, they can trade that gear to whoever needs it. This is actually crazy. If you're good at PvP, good enough to be able to sell carries. Oh my days, just taking 1% of this from a big guild out there is going to make you very, very wealthy very quickly. They had 18 million in internal debt. I would assume this be guild members themselves contributing funds to go towards other things. And then, wow, 160 million gold was spent on just BOEs. These guilds, they scour the realms. They send out players to all of the different realms with on the hunt for the very best bind on equip items. Every guild that is in any way, shape or form competitive for the world first is going to want to get their hands on these BOEs as quickly as possible. And if you happen to jump into one of the mythic BOE farm groups in the first couple of days of the raids being released, you know, it's kind of like playing the lottery. There's a very, very slim chance you get a BOE, but oh boy, if you do, not to mention do you get a BOE, but if it rolls nicely, as we know, the right stats mean everything at the top end to these players. Especially if you manage to get one with a socket on it, you're looking at millions of gold, quite literally millions of gold to be able to sell that BOE very, very quickly. It's incredible to see just how much gold that these guilds will spend. 279 million gold was their expenditure to still come second. That must hurt. That must hurt for sure. Limit put this out on Twitter, and a couple of other big name guilds out there decided to do the same. Big Dumb Gaming pitched in. They spent a combined 170 million gold. Echo, as we know, managed to get world first kill, and they didn't even track the amount that they'd spent on consumables. Probably a ridiculous quantity. 315 million on BOEs. This just goes to show, right, the average price of these BOEs in the EU is considerably higher than what it is in the NA realms, and I guess the NA realms are both fighting over the same BOEs, for example, whereas in the EU, one person might have the BOE, there's only one person that wants it, they're going to have to pay the price to get it. Fat Shark, yes, as well, throwing in some information, the fact that they themselves also spent 20 mil. This is outrageous though, nearly 500 million gold. That is a ridiculous amount of gold to spend on anything in the game. If you happen to play on a realm where one of these big guilds runs, you're in for a good time. Without question, you're in for a good time. It's an eye-wateringly large amount of gold, and you can see where most of it comes from. Selling BOEs, raid consumables, and then the legendaries, and in turn the materials that go into feeding all of those items. Now, if only we could find a way to sell repair services as a goblin. Yeah, this would be interesting. Maybe new mounts, which if people use your mount for repairs, you get a percentage, maybe? I don't know, just a thought. But the next topic, some farming versus crafting. This is a topic of conversation, not just by myself. Shout out to Samadan for highlighting the video we put out last week on whether you should be farming or crafting. But a couple of us have been sort of pitching in with our thought process on this. As much as it pains me to say, even though that I don't particularly enjoy farming myself, I do see that there is definitely time and definitely a place for farming. At the beginning of a patch, at the beginning of an expansion, when all of the materials are really high in price, it's true to say, farming is very difficult to beat for the average goal maker. The only point to which crafting really comes into its own is when you're doing it at a huge scale. But I don't really want to spoil the full ins and outs of this video. If you've not seen it already, it's on my channel, make sure to check it out. But Samadan puts a little summary of the ins and outs of this video for you, saying that, well, farming can be a very risk-free method of making gold. Absolutely. The only thing it costs you is the time to go out and gather those items. If you try and do it in a somewhat efficient way, it's virtually risk-free. Crafting, when done at scale, can actually far outperform farming in terms of sort of raw gold per hour, but you do have to be quite literally doing it at scale. crafting a few potions, crafting a few feasts is probably not going to cut it. You want to be really, really attacking those professions and milking them for everything that they've got. But the big caveat to all of this, do what you find enjoyable. If you enjoy farming, go farming. If you enjoy crafting, do some crafting. Don't worry yourself too much about the gold per hour. If you enjoy doing it, you're often willing to do it for a lot longer anyway. So you'll generally find that pick the one that you enjoy doing more, and that will probably be the most lucrative. Lazy Goldmaker as well pitched in with a farming versus crafting and flipping video. Make sure you go check that out. I'm going to be honest, I've not seen that one myself, so I can't comment too much on it, but the Lazy Goldmaker always has a fantastic viewpoint on these sorts of things and is very experienced with gold making, so well worth checking the video out. Next on the list we have No Kills daily routine for alts. This is another, this was also posted on the WoW Economy subreddit, I believe, and this is his daily routine for his alts. Takes between 5 to 20 minutes a day, and brings in an average 3,000 to 5,000 gold a day. This is pretty competitive, especially if you've got lots of alts. If you've got 5-10 characters at level 60, you can run through this and your token every month is easily paid for. Game time should never really be much of an issue for you again. It's a strategy that focuses on raw gold from things like the mission table and some quick and easy sales of Korthite crystals. There are some other mats and runes that come up with the mission table, but primarily this is focusing on the raw gold. Within the Google Doc that was shared is this Miro board, which is a nice little flow chart of maybe what you should be doing per character in a very quick and easy way. So you log on to your alt, you check the mission table, you complete any missions on the mission table, you send your followers out to do new missions. Then if you happen to have it, use your wormhole generator and teleport yourself directly to Korthia. Run over to the quest givers in Korthia, check to see if there are any Korthite crystal daily quests up. If there are, go do it. It's at this point where you can log off onto your alts, check there on those alts as well to rinse and repeat. If there's no crystals available from the dailies, you can kill the Covenant rare. Now if you happen to be there's one rare in essence for each of the 4 different covenants. They're almost always up. They're very, very quick and easy to do, and they obviously have some nice rewards for them as well. From there on, you can go do a rift and open the main chest. There are actually 4 chests that you can do in a rift. Now the rift, if you complete it, you have 15 minutes to do your rift. By the time you've got some, to be fair, you don't even really need gear because you don't even need to kill anything in the rifts. If you're a class that has either stealth or the ability to drop aggro though, you can pretty much run through and solo the rifts. There's 4 chests that you want to look for whilst in the rift, and you've got 15 minutes to hunt them down. Each one of those chests is going to give you a nice opportunity at some good loot. You go then hand in your daily once you've finished your rift, Hearthstone, and park your toon back at the mission table, and then log in every 3 to 4 hours for the rest of the day on that character to, you know, rinse and repeat the mission table stuff. We've spoke about the mission table a lot on this channel, as I think it's very, very lucrative. There's a bit of a drawback that the main add-on that we were using to help us with it, called Venture Plan, the main add-on creator is taking himself a long extended holiday, so the add-on is not being updated currently. Stay tuned for news on that though, because there are a couple of add-on developers out there that are very interested in taking the reins over on Venture Plan so we can keep it up to date. He does also post a little video that goes through the routine in real time, so if you want to see how it works in practice, make sure you go check out the video that's on the No Kill No Goals YouTube channel as well. But in summary, mission table for gold, veiled augment runes and material bags for some easy sales on items on the auction house. Do your Korthia daily quest for Korthite crystals, then head into the rift, focus on getting those 4 chests. Keep an eye out for things that could be rewards, so other rares and anima, caches and the likes, and then sell everything for between 3,000 to 5,000 gold per character per day in a very, very quick and easy fashion. So there we go, boys and girls. That was the Wowhead Economy Weekly Wrap-Up. This was episode 187. Once again, big shout out to Samadan for putting this together for us. And of course, some resources for you to check out is the WoW Economy subreddit, and they also have their Discord server as well. So there we go. I'll leave it there for this video. I hope you enjoyed the Wowhead Weekly Economy Wrap-Up series. If you do, remember to give the video a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.